Tim Thompson was only 5 years old when he fell through the ice on a frozen lake. His brother Paul pulled him to safety, but he fell in and drowned in the freezing water. About 2 weeks after Tim's brother's funeral, he would go in his closet and lay down on the floor, put a blanket up to his chest, and he would pretend to lay in a coffin himself, talking to his brother. Tim hid himself in this makeshift coffin day after day. As days started to turn into months, demons started visiting him. See, at first, Tim didn't know what a demon was, so he had no clue who these creatures were visiting him. They just became his friends, as he would say. Tim was literally communicating with them in his pretend coffin. One day, Tim's friends made him an offer. His friends said, "Hey, would you let us come inside you? We will show you greater things." And without really thinking about it, Tim said yes. Then immediately at that very moment he said yes, he could tell he was not the same person. He could tell his friends to do something and they would do it. For example, if one of his siblings or other kids at school were being mean to him, he could say, "Hey, trip them up or hurt them," and these demons living inside of him would do that very thing that he would ask them to do. As time went on, this power of speaking over people's life that Tim had was growing. As it is written in the Bible, there is power and death in the tongue. At the age of 10, Tim had one of his first demonic visions. One day, Tim's father was yelling at him over something, and he saw himself picking up an axe and driving it into his skull, and he saw his head being split open. He could see the blood and everything else, and he literally saw this in his vision that he had as if it was really happening. And that's the moment when Tim started to realize he's not like other people. As a teenager, Tim dove deeper and deeper into the occult, and he would use tarot cards and Ouija boards to communicate with these demons. Many of Tim's demon friends had names such as Ra. When Ra spoke, all the demons shook because they all knew he had enormous power. Tim would say that he knew that he had enormous power because Ra told him one day that he literally stands before Lucifer and talks to him. As Tim was 19, he started to feel that there was this void in his life, and he tried to fill it by using heavy drugs and drinking, and neither of that or the occult he had could fill this void that he had inside of him. He even tried to kill himself by cutting his wrist, and as he did this, he thought he was literally paying God back for all the wrong he was doing. Then the next thing Tim remembered was that he was in the emergency room, and a doctor said that he was 1 minute away from bleeding out. At that moment, Tim had decided that there was nothing better to life. He would rather die than to continue living this life he was living. Again, he was trying to fill this void, and everything he tried to do, there was just nothing that was filling this void that was inside of him. That's when he finally called out to God. Close to midnight on December 13th, Tim got down on his hands and knees and said, "God, if you are real, then kill me. Or show me some sort of happiness, but I don't want to live like this one more day." And then what happened next was truly shocking. Jesus came through the ceiling of his room, and as he did this, the whole room lit up. He embraced him, and he let him know that he found value in him and that he loved him. That day, Tim asked Jesus to come into his heart for the very first time. When he did this, all of that anger, fear, depression, suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, hating everything and everyone was just gone. Tim would say that he didn't have a taste of hope. Oh no, it was like he had a tidal wave of hope and forgiveness. He knew standing before Jesus, he was really loved. He really accepted him, and he really cared about the real him. Tim doesn't entertain or communicate with these demons anymore, or read tarot cards, or play with the Ouija boards, or anything of that sort. Instead, he turns to God's word. That does it for today's amazing testimony. Have you ever had an encounter with demons? Let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, God bless.